What's up, family? Another beautiful day, giving thanks and praise to God, wherever you may conceive Him or her to be. For me, just love and life, giving thanks and appreciate life as much as possible. Subscribe, share, like the videos. I do not own the rights to the video; it's just for information purposes only. Now, you know those African white refugees that came here for a better life last year. Those white African refugees that came here for a better life last year. Here's some updates on how they're being treated here in America. Hang on, folks.
Y'all remember this time last year when the Trump administration brought over that group of white South Africans claiming they were facing racial persecution and injustice in their home country? I have an update. Y'all gotta check this out.
You may recall last year we reported on the Trump administration's decision to limit the number of refugees entering the United States. That number was set at 7,500, a significant cut from the Biden era. In addition, the administration is prioritizing white South Africans for admission, a group it says faces persecution at home, something the South African government disputes. Well, now an investigation from the Free Press shows many of those white South Africans, also known as Afrikaners, are barely scraping by because of what they say are failures in U.S. government systems.
Who's gonna tell them?
Madeline Rowley is an investigative reporter for the Free Press. Madeline, good morning. Talk to us about the conditions some of these refugees say they are experiencing, because the administration made it seem as if they were being prioritized. They are a special group.
Oh, they thought they were special.
Yes, I spoke to 10 South African refugees who told me that they came to the U.S. hoping for a better life, a better situation, just as other refugees. And the government contracts with 7 refugee resettlement agencies that are paid hundreds of millions of dollars per year to provide safe, sanitary, and affordable housing.
Affordable housing? Where?
Unfortunately, what I heard from these Afrikaner refugees is that they're spending weeks in motels in unsafe areas. They're being offered housing that is full of mold, apartments that are full of mold in expensive areas. So each refugee is allotted $2,000, and all of that has been going to rent.
Who's gonna tell them?
So they're really left with nothing, and these agencies are supposed to help them apply to jobs, obtain temporary benefits such as SNAP and Medicaid, and basically other people from the community, like neighbors, are having to step in because they just, in some cases, can't even get a hold of their resettlement agencies.
Madeline, what jumps out to me about what you're saying is we have this almost split screen between what you're describing their life is like now and how they looked in May of 2025 when they were being welcomed here. They were holding American flags, they had smiles on their faces.
No comment. I think that speaks for itself.
When you ask refugee groups about these issues with the resettlement process, what are they telling you? How common is this?
Well, from what I can tell, there's an entire network of people as they come. People I spoke to came as soon as 2 weeks ago, and what they do is, they have a network through social media groups and WhatsApp, and they're all realizing, oh no, I'm stuck in this hotel. I only have a certain amount of food. They don't have transportation. They don't have the right clothing. I talked to 3 refugees who are in Detroit. It's very cold there. They do not have coats. So they're realizing that they really feel alone. So I think with that original group, now we're sort of seeing, I think so far, over 1,600 Afrikaner refugees have come, and now we're seeing sort of the cracks in the system here.
Cracks in the system? America? No.
When it comes to how these resettlement agencies work, they have regional offices all throughout the United States where the money from the federal government trickles down.
Trickle down? Yeah, good luck on that.
Some of them, one refugee resettlement agency, their federal expenditures top $727 million in fiscal year 2024. So I think we have to ask here, why are these refugees being told there's no budget for food, or there's no other apartments or places to show them that are in safe and sanitary areas?
Welcome to the party, hey! Kind of sounds like Americans are footing the bill for some aliens. Why ain't I out here pick themselves up by their own bootstraps?
What do you mean the Afrikaners are struggling in the USA? They're getting paid $2,000 a month. They can't make ends meet. They need to start picking themselves up by their bootstraps. They need to go back to Europe. We like our whites neat and civilized. These is hellbillies. They need to get their lazy asses up and get a job. They left the Rainbow Nation to come to the melting pot. Smells like apartheid to me. This is America. We speak English, motherfucker. Do you know it? Think if they want to fit into America. I mean, if they want to earn their spot in America,
Well, it turns out the descendants of colonizers in South Africa who fled South Africa alleging persecution for being white, who came to the United States with the alleged welcome of the current president, have been left to fend for themselves, y'all.
So you went out your way to bring these people from another country and continent to give them a better life here in the United States because they were antagonized and targeted and oppressed and whatever where they came from, and y'all just didn't even hook them up properly. But at the same time, I mean, we know this. Anyone who's been paying attention for the past 10 years, and let's be real and beyond, knows this. We could have told that. I mean, we did in like a trillion ways, but who's counting? Y'all gave them a whole stipend of $2,000, which for certain parts of this country, increasingly more and more of it, is a month of rent. And that's just talking like long-term apartments and rental houses, not even talking about like hotels. I mean, I'm actually surprised it wasn't more, and considering who they are, the circumstances and the circumstances of the country and millions of other people here who have not even that, I'm glad they weren't given more. But at the same time, as far as the administration goes and what they claim to be doing, sure is an interesting way of trying to help some people out. So yeah, like this great comment put it, pretty much.
Welcome to the United States of America. We respect what you have had to deal with these last few years. We respect the long tradition of your people and what you have accomplished over the years.
If you're wondering what happened to the Afrikaners who were rescued from South African white genocide from South Africa by Donald Trump and taken to America, well, I will tell you, they've come out and said that there's been a failure of policy because they basically are barely scraping by. That is their description, that they're barely scraping by. So they were rescued from South Africa, thinking, and most of them obviously never been to America, and thinking that they were going to turn up to a place that is paved in gold, only to find out that America has literally got millions of people who live in the streets. And many people in America, at least 10 million people, actually live in their cars. And these Afrikaners claimed asylum in the United States of America, and now they're saying that there's been a total failure of the rescue because they're not getting by, they're barely scraping by. This is what they said.
what do you mean that Afrikaners are struggling in the USA? Getting paid $2,000 a month. They can't make ends meet. I think they need to start picking themselves up by their bootstraps. They need to go back to Europe. We like our whites neat and civilized. These is hellbillies. They need to get their lazy asses up and get a job. They left the Rainbow Nation to come to the melting pot. Smells like apartheid to me. This is America. We speak English, motherfucker. Do you know it? Think if they want to fit into America. I mean, if they want to earn their spot in America, there's a cotton plantation right down the road.
Well, hello, boys and girls. Do y'all remember all these smiling faces that arrived here about a year ago?
Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America.
Well, I remember them. They got off of that plane smiling like they had just landed in Disney World. They thought they was about to come over here and live a life of luxury, zero labor, and all the racism their little hearts can stomach. But they are learning out the hard way that the grass is not always greener on the other side, and racism is expensive than a motherfucker. They can barely pay rent. They don't have the right clothing. They can't afford to buy the right clothing because they're barely affording rent. They barely have food, and most of them are still living out of hotels, which we know is expensive as a motherfucker. They thought they was about to come over here and be the brand new Elon Musk, arriving from South Africa.
Okay, I got a good one. Can we talk about the Afrikaners that Trump brought here at the beginning of last year? They've been here for 7 months now. We have 3 of those families planted right here in Detroit. Do you know Trump still got them living in the hotel in the hood with mold growing all in the rooms? They get an allowance of $2,000, yet they're paying rent at the hotels. Now y'all know it's cold as shit here in Detroit. I mean, it's cold. I ain't been outside in 3 days. These motherfuckers come from a tropical weather system where it's sunny and warm all the time. This snow shit, they not used to this shit. How about they got them wearing summer clothes? Trump brought them here on the promise that I will bring you here and give you all the benefits to get you started on your American dream. They're still waiting.
They struggling. They are struggling. So the Afrikaners, Elon Musk had Trump bring to the United States because they're being prosecuted, are stating they're having serious issues surviving in the United States. And the only person that can be blamed for the struggle is Trump himself. Trump cut a bunch of funding that Biden set up for refugee programs. And it wasn't just the money that Trump cut, it's also the staff that he cut at refugee offices and other federal offices because of the Doge Department. Elon Musk did this to his own peoples. So these refugees are saying they're only making $2,000 a month, which is barely enough to handle their rent. They're saying the houses they're in are roach infested. They're saying there's a lack of access to refugee support, again, because of Doge cutting all of that support, and they feel very isolated from these programs, and the language barrier is bothering them.
I am
So I'm not
piggybacking
sure what more can be said about this struggle
off of him.
and why cutting refugee programs and the people physically working in those refugee programs was a bad idea, because even the people he is trying to help, the better immigrants, as
Do not own the rights to the video. I'm just doing it for information purposes only.
they would say in the Trump administration, are now struggling to be here. Y'all have a good day.
Well, it turns out the descendants of colonizers in South Africa who fled South Africa alleging persecution for being white, who came to the United States with the alleged welcome of the current president, have been left to fend for themselves. Y'all, it's bad. It's bad. This is from the Free Press, and I quote, languishing in cockroach-infested apartments, walking miles to the grocery store for food, and eating just one meal a day to save money. This is life in America for some newly arrived Afrikaner refugees from South Africa. Again, this article is on the Free Press. Apparently, this administration used the Afrikaner plight, championed by that musky man, to bring over these Afrikaner from South Africa to resettle here, essentially used as a PR photo op, and then they were literally abandoned. These folks were talking about not having any blankets or towels for themselves, being put in motels, and given $2,000 a month. Most of that they spent on rent. Actually, they came over here with very big promises, allegedly that they would be taken care of. There would be all sorts of benefits for them through this refugee program. Now to turn around mere months later
to find themselves living in squalor. Now, I am not laughing at the plight that has befallen them, but it is kind of funny that you allege what has been combated by the South African government, that you are suffering as a white person who is experiencing persecution for being white. And then you come to this country where they're supposed to be trying to make white great again. You pose for the pictures, you do the photo ops, and then the administration literally treats you like garbage. Somebody cue up the leopard song. Someone cue up the leopard song right now.
Last year, Trump welcomed a bunch of white South Africans to America as refugees in hopes of a better life. And it turns out they're all having a bad time. Welcome to America, guys. None of us are having a good time.
I guess those white refugees get a wake-up call. They got a wake-up call because here is not how it used to be. Subscribe, like, share the video, leave a comment. Peace out. I'm out of here. Much love.